Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Insights for Pros, where we highlight PlexiCam clients and experts that you should know if you want to level up your online video. Today on the show, we have Scott Ransome, and we're going to be talking about acting skills for business people. Hey Scott.
Hello, how you doing, Dan? You all right?
Fantastic. And for people who have not yet seen our little blooper reel, we did some warm-up exercises that only feel slightly strange, but I understand from Scott are tremendously useful in getting your voice warmed up, and one of many secrets that he might divulge to us today.
Always very helpful to warm the voice up. Very useful for anyone at work.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't tell you before we went live, but I like to go and read through Fox and Socks, which, if you haven't read, is chock full of, as you might expect for Dr. Seuss, chock full of tongue twisters. And if you really want to feel incompetent at the English language, you should read through this to warm up. And it is quite a lot of fun. I am not going to do it right now because I'm stuffed up and it's just not going to work very well. But I highly recommend that. And it's just good fun. So your background, you, unlike most people that I talk to, and we have a lot of professional speakers as clients of PlexiCam, most people have not studied acting, and they definitely have not been a professional actor. You know, maybe they dabbled in acting in high school or something, but they definitely did not study it formally. So for your background, so you've been a professional actor, you acted at the BBC and the Royal Shakespeare Company.
Yep.
What took you from there into the business world and doing training and sales work?
It was a particular time in my life where I wanted to settle down more and not have to travel around a lot. And I wanted a steady, normal job because I thought it would help me. And it did help me greatly in having a family, getting a house, getting a mortgage, doing all of that kind of stuff. Acting is a great job. I love it. And certainly when you look at the RSC, that's one of my favorite jobs of all time, ever, in whatever field I've done. So I really love doing it. But at that time, at the age of 27, with one thing and another, it was for personal reasons. And I chose to go into sales and got a job in recruitment and then became a trainer after that. And it was a good decision, good grounding decision. And it helped me with a lot of things in my life.
When you took your first sales job, whatever that was, did acting come up as a helpful skill for you in that role? Or it was just, I'm going into sales?
More people were skeptical about it in terms of when I was interviewed. They would say, well, what if this audition came up? Would you go and do that? You know, people are, understandably, they perhaps felt that it wasn't something I would commit to, this proper office job. So that was quite interesting. But for all the other stuff, for like assessment centers where you have to improvise and you have to create product and you have to work together, 100%. All the skills that I had built up until that point were very, very, very helpful in how I went about my business, certainly. And then in doing a sales job, all about communication, building rapport, building relationships, understanding, listening.
I also have a not quite traditional path that took me from college into the supposed real world. I think it's useful, whether, you know, from an individual standpoint, to take sort of non-traditional skills and apply them in a business setting, or to take training from folks like you or me who have performance backgrounds. We definitely need more of it because we're not otherwise taught it. You have to seek it out.
Yeah, it's really how you label it. But truth be told, you and I know that really a lot of it is just drama. So how do you get someone's attention at the beginning of a phone call? How do you think creatively about the product and service that you're selling? How do you connect with it emotionally? How do you listen effectively? All of that is performance, right? But if we said, okay, we're going to now do an acting course, business people might feel, well, hang on. Well, certainly when we started, you and I, they might think, oh no, this is all a bit, I know we joked about it, but getting into your tights, it's all a bit, you know, if you watch The League of Gentlemen, maybe your audience won't know that, but it's quite a dark comedy. It's a shady comedy here. And they have a troupe called Legs Akimbo who go around, Legs Akimbo, hi. And it has that. I had an old CEO, he won't mind me saying, I'm sure he goes, it was all a bit shoes and socks off. You know what I mean? It was all a bit shoes and socks off. And I think all of that is understandable. People want to look at kind of, right, you're going in for this sales course. This is the structure of a sales call. This is how it works. This is how you identify the benefit to the customer in time, quality, cost, and emotion. And that works. But now is the time for me to say, well, I want to teach drama, and drama can be applied in these kind of ways to everything that you're doing in your business, in your life, whatever it is that you're up to, whether you're making video, whether you're writing a speech, whether you're putting a presentation together, whether you're leading a team and you're having meetings with them. You know, I genuinely, and I'm no BS, I genuinely feel like what you and I have learned as performers is highly applicable and very, very helpful. It's just hoping that the audience accepts that and goes with it and starts to use these kind of techniques.
So, I mean, if you look at people on TikTok or YouTube or Instagram, shorter forms is what I'm trying to wrap my head around personally. They have to be engaging. So part of the hook is usually a personality. So you need to do something to stand out, which is going to be something dramatic, probably not, not like you would expect walking down the street that you're going to see somebody doing.
But even that, have you ever tried pointing the camera at someone saying, just walk down the street? If you look at Helen Mirren's opening on, she's not on BBC Maestro, she's on Masterclass, teaching acting. And the first thing she does is walk across the stage. And then she sits down and says, that's probably one of the hardest things you'll ever have to do, is just this sense of walking, feeling natural, feeling yourself, identifying who you are, putting that personality across, And it's important, I think, for people like you and I, and certainly with me in my business, to say, that's how I want to teach. It's not like you're going to lose out on, hey, these business skills or these hooks to start a call or a presentation or understanding people's problems and so on. All those business things. I just want to teach drama for the rest of my career. And I want to teach it in business. And I want to help people show up on video and in person and at work. That's what I want to do.
So what are the acting skills, or a subset of acting skills that business people should learn?
Yeah, well, we look at it in a number of different ways. And if we look at how we start with people, the first thing is to look at is to try to overcome whatever it is, the fear or the reason that you have for not doing this thing. So what is stopping you? Let's think about that. What's stopping you? Is it it kind of goes on a scale, doesn't it? It can be some kind of chronic stage fright. People that we know who've suffered from that. That's really uncomfortable. It's debilitating. Or it could just be you don't like the sound of your voice, or you don't like the way that you look on camera, or you don't feel you can develop your ideas. So there's lots of reasons there. And it's trying to look at that and go, okay, is there a practical way to approach this? And there is. There's a practical way. Let's think about what your purpose is. Why are you doing this bit? Why are you making this piece of video content? Why have you decided to put this training that you're doing onto video? What's your purpose here? As I was performing, I thought about the energy that I wanted to put across to my audience. You're my audience, but then so is the camera. Without wanting to overcomplicate it, it's like thinking, what is my energy here? So learning about different ways to access, very simply, different energies within you, super important. We teach that. Identifying those, visualizing those, putting those across, looking for inspiration in how you do that. Very, very important. What's your energy? What's the pace of your speech? What are you picking out in terms of specific words that are going to make a difference to that particular customer? How are you putting across that energy and that sense of yourself?
Right.
It's those sort of things, maybe it might be something simple like, you take a phrase, you talked a bit about fox in socks.
Right.
I wish a whole bunch of Dr. Seuss was coming right back at me now. All the amount that I've read of Dr. Seuss in my career. But there you go. If you take a simple line like "to be or not to be, that is the question." And you can look at a line like that and think, well, how do I say that very, very quickly? To be or not to be, there's a question. How do I say it very slowly? To be or not to be. And therefore, how does that inform when I perform the line "to be or not to be, that is the question"?
Sure.
It might seem quite obvious. It might seem quite, what does he mean? But all these things are really powerful. And it's looking at the dynamics of what you do. Like we get a lot of it's often lads, often young guys who will say that their mum said that they were monotone. You laugh, yeah? Do you recognize that? They were either told by their parent, "Oh, you're so monotone, you," or a teacher. I had a teacher did it to a lad. Always. They get him to read, and then they go, "You're so monotone, Baker. Why can't you put some color into your voice when you're reading?" That's Mr. Hudson, that is, he was quite a full-on teacher. And
Yeah.
so you get into your adult life, you've been told you're monotone, you've been told shut up,
Yeah.
you've been told whatever it is you've been told. And it's trying to cut that all away, man, and just say, look, put some
Right.
expression, find some expression, find how you want to come across.
So as far as the training that you do for salespeople, for example,
Mm-hmm.
do you recommend that they really kind of script out their approach, or maybe even what they plan on saying, or is that too limiting, perhaps? What's your stance on that?
I think for me, I've got to learn more how to use auto cue. I want to learn more how to. So there's a feature with the plexiglass where I saw that I can put it on front of the monitor and I can have the text big behind that. And I'm
Sure.
interested in investigating that more because I feel a sense of alienation when I use me, and I've got to get over that. So I think it's being able to be comfortable with, if you have it scripted, make sure you can clearly see where it's at, but don't go into that cold.
Yeah.
I would say you got to sit, watch the story, almost learning it, like how does it all connect. One thing you're trying to do, I think, when you're putting a story together is work the links out, work out how that first sentence might link to that next sentence. Then keep your text there, but don't just coldly use the text. When I've helped people with stand-up speeches at big conferences, so we're talking, hundreds of people, they're not used to that big an audience. They're used to the energy of closing a deal. They're used to all the chemicals that involves, and it's the same things, but you put them up in front of 500 people, and it is useful to have the teleprompter. That useful, very useful to have those details there, but learn it so that you don't have to rely on it. So I think it's a nice mixture of learning it and having it there readily available. And then I think what's interesting, you mentioned TikTok, is if you're going to use TikTok where you're going to use that cut up style. So I know I'm going to go, is this the right room for an argument? I've told you once. No, you haven't. Yes, I have. No, you haven't. Yes, I have. No, you haven't. Yes, I have. Which is a famous Monty Python sketch. I know I want to do that for me. The clear thing to do with that is, yes, all you need to learn is this the right room for an argument, isn't it? You don't have to learn the rest of it. You just need to learn, is this the right room for an argument? But what you've got to maintain is the energy, I think, on that cut up style. So if you go, is this the right room for an argument? I've told you once. Then that's not the kind of energy matching that can work.
Well, so I think since we talked about TikTok and like your example of putting the right energy into a situation, I have found, so for PlexiCam, we have essentially an invisible product. So showing somebody what the product looks like, which there's nothing else like it either. So you can't like, oh, that's clearly a different version of like we're like an invisible upside down tripod that hangs on your monitor. But hearing that is not going to explain to you what you're looking at. So you really need to see it in use. And we've worked with a lot of creators to do user generated content where they're showing how they're using it. And there are some people who have really studied, or maybe they're naturally inclined to this, how do I tell the story in 30 seconds or 60 seconds or 90 seconds on why I chose PlexiCam, why I'm using it. And you have to think through a script essentially, and then record different angles and stitch them together so that it grabs you up front, the hook, and it carries you through to, hopefully for us, you're buying a PlexiCam. But there are some creators that they're not good at creating that script and then editing it, and the vast majority have no energy. So it's just, I love PlexiCam. Even that's too much energy. I love PlexiCam. I'm so excited to show you why I love it's like, okay, we're not going to show that one to somebody because that's going to, if they were excited before they saw that video, then they saw that video, they're no longer excited.
No longer. All excitement has been dashed.
Yeah. But I think, you need to study that because like for me, I don't naturally think in sort of bite-sized pieces like that. So for me, I have not recorded anything like that, partly because I feel like I'm so under-equipped to think through that and stage it and record it and edit it that it's just exhausting.
Yeah, and I mean, and that would be the case if we still if it was still costing us $50,000 per minute of film, but
Yeah,
it's not. But all the same hang-ups still exist as if it was $50,000 a minute of film, and it's
right.
not. Or the cheesiness of your parents showing their home videos and all of that. Oh no! Oh, and you in your check trousers and you know what I mean? When you're a kid and mum, really? Do we have to look at that? This is a business too. Your performance, your sense of yourself and how you put it across, it's a massive part of your whole skill set, and it's a big thing for you to be able to do in business. Not everybody has to be a big show off. Not everybody has to be big and theatrical, if you like me. You've got to find what your own personal energy is. Yeah, I think that's what performance is. You're just helping to bring more people out than just people like you and I who had a natural inclination to do something because we found that we were good at it. You know, we were helped by having a talent for music or a talent for performing or a talent for standing up. And I think,
Right.
you know, it's important for everyone to bring it out and, you know, study different stories. Take a look at Kurt Vonnegut's wonderful seminars on the shape of stories. And if you look at, yeah, it's great, really good. He did it. He's done it a couple of times. He did it in his career. And he draws it on a blackboard, what a story is. And it starts with, it was a day like any other day. Something dreadful happened. And then, hooray, what a great result. And he says, that's called man in whole. Doesn't have to be a man, doesn't have to be a whole. So if I start, it was a day like any other day, and I didn't have this weird plastic see-through upside down tripod, you should have seen me 20 minutes before this trying to get my angle poise right to fit in there. That's
Right.
a day like any other day, doesn't it? And then it just gets worse from there. And then somehow there's a revelation. So there's
Right.
nothing wrong with showing an interest in stories and how they work and how they can work for you.
Right.
Get on it. Get working on it. That's a good idea. Yeah.
So we could go on if even more and even deeper. Let's see so the best way to get a hold of you is at studio-biz.com. Is that right?
Yeah, the website, just be aware that they published the website without me finishing it. But I'm around on LinkedIn, and my email is scott@studio-biz.com. We have a digital brochure that we're working on, which gives insight into all the different sessions in the live stand-up courses and the digital courses that we offer as well. So gives you good insight into the syllabus and helps you decide whether you want to look at doing it or not.
Great. So, I mean, thank you so much for peeling back the curtain or the well, I guess, yeah, literally the curtain. If we're talking about a stage reference, I wasn't necessarily thinking of that. But there's a lot of nuance that part of what I try to do with interviews like this is I want to pull out things that I don't know, and I selfishly want to learn. And in the course of that, expose some things that other people may have not stumbled on, because I stumble onto a lot of things. I love the examples that you brought. You sound so much smarter than I do from the UK British accent there. So that's something that maybe I don't think I can learn an accent, honestly, but it's a nice contrast.
Yeah, it is a nice contrast, and I love America. I love working in America. I love having American students. It feels great. You feel like you're a professor at college, you know. All the young people come in, they have their computers, they have all the stuff that's there available. Then we get up on our feet and we all work together. And I think that's why I really dig what you're talking about with your product. Your product is about, how do I help my performance even more? Not just, hey, here's another piece of kit. It's like, how do I help my performance even more? How do I engage with my audience in a even more effective way? And so this piece for me has just been about just being passionate about teaching, passionate about communication, create those connections, create that sense of purpose, create that feeling of, you know, trust your instinct, find some inspiration to keep moving forward, stay positive in your head and think, what is the story here? And ultimately, if you could just write the story down in one line, you know, what would it be? So yes, you don't need to rip apart everything. Just think, oh my God, that show is really about how a fish out of water can really succeed. Boom. And once you write that down, all right, I have that thought, then that can help. And that might help a whole performance, isn't it? On the piano. And the rest is just movement and working stuff out from page to page. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, Scott, for your expertise and your time. It was so much fun talking to you. We definitely got to talk some more, because this is,
I love that. Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.